Cold open question of the week, Gary.
Yes, sir.
If you could greenlight a biopic for any professional wrestler, who would it be?
Ooh. He's one of my faves, so I would have to say Roddy Piper.
Ooh, I didn't think that's where you were going.
Yeah.
But that would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was going to be Ric Flair, and you'd maybe end it with him meeting you at the bar.
Him at the bar, yeah. Me and Rick having a couple beverages.
You guys posing for a picture together as the camera pans out.
That's it. That's
the happy, sad music plays. If it was me, I think Randy Macho Man Savage would be the most interesting from a character perspective.
That's a good one, yeah.
Because he sort of blended that line of what's real, what's an act, what was real. And of course, you'd have someone would have to play Miss Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Sydney Sweeney would be available. Who knows?
Sure.
Let's open that question up to our guests here tonight. We have my son, Joseph Lennon, my cousin, Sean Lennon, and our tag team partner on our other podcast, John Cremella. Sean, we'll start with you. Who would you like to see the biopic of?
Yeah, that's an interesting. There's so many out there that I'd like to pick, but at this point, if I had to choose one, I'd like to see the Bret Hart. Bret Hart, his story put into film, because he has such a great, rich history in pro wrestling, and obviously the tragedy with his brother, and kind of you can make McMahon like the villain in that, of course, and how much they despise him, and just like the Hart family. So it's kind of like that movie with, what was that one that came out recently with the brothers?
The Von Erichs, yeah.
The Von Erich, yeah. So that you could, the Iron Claw. So it's going to be, in that kind of same vein, but it's showing how tough the father was. I feel like the Von Erich movie got that pretty right, but I think the Bret Hart story has more layers to it, and still a tragic tale.
Yeah, there was a lot of tragedy. Obviously, it goes back all the way, sort of like the Von Erichs with early pro wrestling, with his father, Stu Hart, kind of running the Calgary Stampede promotion. That's not a bad choice either. John?
Undertaker. Because there's a lot more to Undertaker before he was Undertaker, probably, that no one realizes. So I think that you got enough stories there that would probably be a pretty good one.
And there'd probably be some good drinking scenes from when they were
between him and Yoko by themselves.
And Joe?
My mind went to Chris Benoit to see the evolution of wrestling superstar into, the tragedy of him killing his children, his wife, and himself. I think it'd be interesting to see the effects on CTE and how that impacted him.
Yeah.
That might be the one least like to be made.
But you'd be surprised.
It may be the most poignant one.
Yeah, that's true.
I heard there was a script already for that.
I could imagine there's scripts for everyone that we mentioned, because the stories are just fantastic. It would just be trying to parse it down to like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour at the most.
I heard there was a director link to it. I heard there was money that was going to go to being produced. I actually heard all these things about it. Then it went dead, went silent.
Okay, we'll have to look into that. All right, we are going to open the show. Gary, ring that bell.
Bing, bing, bing.
Welcome into another exciting episode of the Brian Lennon Show. I am your host and the referee tonight, Brian Lennon, as always, joined by my co-host, Mr. Gary McDaniel.
Hey, Rudy.
And tonight we have a battle royal worthy ring full of guests to welcome to the squared circle. When people ask CM Punk who comes to his mind when asked about pro wrestling in Chicago, he mentions this guy, my actual oos and host of Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast, Sean Lennon.
Thank you.
Some people call him the genius. I just call him son. He's not the bar because as a second-year law student, he's just trying to pass it, Joseph Lennon. And a man who knows more than just college football because he's a lifelong pro wrestling fan. And that's the bottom line because John Cremella said so.
I don't have any beer. I'm very sad at myself right now.
And as always, my tag team partner in crime, the vape-smoking, bourbon-guzzling, hat-wearing, Florida man, son of a gun, Gary McDaniel. And he's not wearing a hat tonight.
I'm not. I'm
So.
hatless tonight.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you again. This has sort of become a tradition unlike any other, our WrestleMania preview show. So WrestleMania 42 will take place this weekend in Las Vegas again. And before we get into the two-night spectacle, I do want to have some discussion about the wrestling business, sort of a state of the union, if you will. And I guess we'll start with the TKO effect on WWE and whether it has been a positive or a negative on WWE. Sean, why don't you start us off, if you would?
Yes, for sure. Well, I'm actually know about this because I'm a big MMA fan. So the UFC and WWE are under TKO's umbrella, and since it's happened, all I can tell you is that basically the both promotions are not quite as hot as they used to be. So I mean, obviously we're going to focus on the pro wrestling side of things, right? But kind of like the marketing is for like the UFC is kind of fallen off. They used to do more elaborate like promo videos and advertisement. Now it's just Dana White in his room, talking about the fights and so we've seen that kind of trickle over to the WWE. And right now, I think they're trying to capture a fan base that isn't currently, involved with the WWE. They're trying to capture people that are into the social media influencers or other sports because they're now landed the deal with ESPN. And so they're trying to, have all these outside influences. And they're trying to please a lot of people as well, including the board of investors for TKO. So that's why we see inserts like, Travis Scott at WrestleMania last year, the insert of Pat McAfee in a storyline this year. And obviously numerous celebrities are like iShow Speed are involved now. Is that they're really trying to, get that audience that's in like that's aware of the WWE and in the social media space. They want to get them, to tune in, to be a follower and subscribe to their platforms. And obviously with ESPN, they got the whole transition with the big sporting outlet, and they get to work with, a lot of partners they normally wouldn't have worked with. And then Netflix deal happened, over a year ago as well. So there's positives and negatives. The negatives, of course, that we see is the ticket prices have been skyrocketing to the point where like even I myself are not questioning myself if I'll ever be at a WWE event. And a lot of fans are still purchasing those tickets though. We had a bit almost sold out crowd at the United Center for the Elimination Chamber. And although that event wasn't most spectacular, hey, people bought those tickets. They showed up. And so I still feel like they're moving tickets, but now we've come to WrestleMania and they're a 2-night show. They're grand spectacular. And that effects of the TKO is now coming on to where the ticket sales are not moving as quickly as possible. And they're scrambling and they're trying to do everything they can to do it. And, people just want to blame Triple H, but Triple H has to answer to Nick Khan. Nick Khan has to answer to a board of executives. And now the TKO, whoever's in charge of that, they now have direct influence on the program and insert, anyone they want in their stories. So it's, kind of like out of their control. They have to please many masters. And so I feel like that's where the WWE weekly programming is suffering. Nothing really makes me want to tune into the show week to week at this point. And I feel like a lot of other fans feel the same way, and they can get recaps and get social media, spotlights or whatever, highlights, but they're not invested in the WWE as they used to be. And that right there is showing you that, The fans are not invested. They're losing their old fans, the fans that had been there with them for the past couple decades, and they're not capitalizing on new fans either. So I feel like the WWE is definitely slipping under TKO's grip, and they've got to pivot, and they've got to maneuver fast, because I think they're just losing fans every single day.
Okay, John, what's your impression of TKO's effect on WWE? Because Sean, went through a whole laundry list of, things that they're facing. One from a TKO perspective, but then also from a WWE and creative pro wrestling organization situation.
Well, first off, Sean hit it on the head all the way on every single point that he brought up. And I think ultimately what you're seeing is a true backlash to what they're doing, especially with there was a hot storyline with just Cody versus Randy. It's Mentor versus, Pup. And then we just decided to piss on it and move in Pat McAfee. I mean, they put up a list of 13 guys. 3 of them might have been dead, and it would have been a better choice than McAfee at that point, because he made 0 sense. I can't say that I missed him, so I don't understand that one. I mean, and I think Triple H, like Sean said too, is getting a really bad rap here for quote unquote booking, and I don't think he has a lot of control. If you think back to the heyday of WWE, the Attitude Era and all of that, WrestleMania was the end of stories that had gone on for a year. Now they're just jamming people in for a storyline for 4-6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Roman Reigns will be there, and then depending on what he does, whether he wins or loses, he won't be there after the Monday Raw after WrestleMania. That's just a fact. There's no continuity. I don't like the fact that I'm going to bring up Kiana James. She was a huge deal going into the Elimination Chamber. She was the surprise entrance. Her and Javon Evans showed out in that event. Neither one of them is on the WrestleMania card. How can Io Sky not be on the WrestleMania card? She's been a champion at WrestleMania the last 2 years. I don't know. It just seems like they're taking the focus off the people that are doing the job the best, and throwing in the iShow Speeds and Pat McAfee's and anybody else. Jelly Roll will show up, and that's not anything against them. It's just, what are you doing? Why are you shitting on your talent that has gotten you to this point for this year, and you're not utilizing them?
Joe, what's your perspective on TKO's takeover of WWE?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much what John and Sean said, and to me it just rings as kind of a dissociated organization trying to take control of someone else's baby. It's like taking your baby and putting it in the hands of a stranger, and then when the stranger doesn't do what you want, getting frustrated, and that's how the fans are. It seems like they're trying to make it a 1-to-1 with the UFC, which Sean talked about, but the audiences for those are completely different. Like, they could not be more far apart, UFC and WWE, and trying to make fans of one fans of the other is not the marketing success I think they think it's going to be. Trying to make them equals is going to fail miserably, and it's definitely not looking good. Even just to think 2 years ago with WrestleMania 40, every Monday and every Friday you had to tune in to see what was going to happen that week. And now you know what's going to happen. You know there's going to be a women's tag team match. You know CM Punk and Roman Reigns are going to say some things to each other. You know Cody's going to go out there and yell at the camera. You know Sami Zayn's going to go out there and yell at some people. So it just feels like it's the same thing over and over, and it's not a changing story. There's no plot twists, there's no urgency, there's no cliffhangers. It seems like they're just going through the motions at this point.
And I know, as much as we would kind of complain about Vince McMahon back in the day, he had complete total control of creative, and we know he would plan he'd know the finish to next year's WrestleMania today. And like John, you said, these would be end of storylines that had been going on for 12 months. And, you know, at this point now, it's like, okay, we know Brock is coming back because he has to fight somebody. And, you know, we're going to do a slapdick thing here in, 4 to 6 weeks and get him a match. And I think that's what a lot of these matches feel like. Now, again, I know they've had some injuries. So, you know, the Gunther Rollins match is sort of in that situation. But I want to talk a little bit about the Pat McAfee of it all, because it seems at least he's getting real heat from the fans, which maybe this didn't need it, John, which I think is what you're kind of implying. Like, you know, Cody versus
Randy
didn't need any more heat because you have, sons of legendary wrestlers going at it.
People have been asking for that match for a year already.
Right. But I think, does throwing Pat McAfee, and I think you got to take into account, Pat McAfee has a very popular podcast. I think he's just ahead of our podcast as far as, listeners. So to bring that sort of, magnetic personality to an event like WrestleMania from a corporate standpoint makes sense.
Yeah, I get that part of it, but it doesn't make sense to the wrestling viewer's mind. They don't care. They watch wrestling for wrestling. They don't care about the podcast. They don't care about the personality. They want to see wrestlers wrestle. You know, one of the biggest complaints that WWE fans have all the time is, why are we starting with another guy talking for 20 minutes? Where's the wrestling in this all? And even in the Attitude Era, there was talking, but it was broken up with matches. This is just, you could watch depending on what Monday night it is, it's 2 hours and 3 minutes or 2 hours and 30 minutes, and not a damn thing happens. It's to the point where with Pat McAfee, I think I read something too where he initially turned it down. He was like, "No, this is stupid. Why am I going to be even involved with this?" And then they convinced him to do it, and it will make the people. He won't be allowed back on that show because the people will not allow it. He'll wind up being Mike Adamle from American Gladiators, getting booed off out of the building just because the wrestling fans don't care. Again, I have not watched SmackDown since I heard that he was on, for the fact that nope, I'm out. I was totally on board for Cody versus Randy because that was more than enough. I know what they're doing with the podcasts and the celebrities and trying to bring other people in. They don't have to, and that's the problem.
Yeah. All right. I was going to ask something else and I forgot what it is. All right, let's move on to AEW. Sean watches AEW. Oh, that's what I wanted to say about. I tried to watch Raw on Netflix. It was the week after I think Roman and CM Punk had their first initial face-off, and so I put it on, and it was like maybe 7 to 10 minutes, and then there would be 7 commercials, and it was worse than any other wrestling show I've ever watched. It was just all commercials. AEW, Sean, fill us in because I know you watch it. Some people don't watch it at all. Some people stay, they have their tentacles in it a little bit. Where does AEW stand in relation to WWE? Because I think maybe 2 years ago, they were sort of facing an issue with attendance. They were blacking out, arenas and kind of just having one side of the arena filled. But tell us a little bit about where AEW stands now in relation to WWE.
I feel like it's been the hotter promotion this past year. They won many awards for the Sports Illustrated. If you pay attention to that, for their Pro Wrestling Awards, including Promotion of the Year, Feud of the Year. Some of the wrestlers won individual awards as well. So, they are really the hotter product on TV. They have a lot of great matches, and sometimes they just give you too much on TV. I feel like that's the whole point. It's like they give you a bit too much, and then what's your incentive to turn into a pay-per-view? Because how much better is the pay-per-view going to be than the TV? But the matches are really good. They're delivering. They've got a solid roster, and obviously Chris Jericho made his surprise return. There was talks that he might go to WWE, so that's another shot in the arm for AEW. And what they've done to address the crowd situation, they don't book big arenas for the TV. They'll book small venues, smaller venues for the TV, like little concert halls, music halls. They'll fill those up. So it's a sold out event. When they do pay-per-view, they do any kind of big events, they're going to arenas. They're going to like the crypto.com arena for AEW Revolution or wherever, the last event was as well. They were in Vancouver, right? So they're going to sports, NFL, not NFL, but NBA, NHL teams, those kind of arenas for the bigger events. And obviously they're going to be at Wembley Stadium again, which is a massive. I mean, it was reported about 80,000 people were there. I think that was overinflation. It was more about 65,000, but still that many people are going to be at a AEW show this summer in an outdoor event. So that in itself shows you, it speaks in the volumes of what they're doing. And they're growing internationally. They're growing nationally. They're growing internationally, and they're solidified themselves. That's all I'll say.
How big was the Chris Jericho re-signing with them? Because basically all year we had been kind of led to believe Jericho's coming. It was going to happen at Royal Rumble. It was going to happen at a Saturday night's main event, and it never came to fruition. And then he shows up, at AEW in the last week or two. Is that sort of a bellwether sign for like WWE versus AEW, or do you think it was more personally Chris Jericho's decision because he had a little bit more, I think, creative control with his character and storylines with AEW?
I don't think he's ready to retire yet. And I think WWE want to offer him a retirement storyline, and I don't think he was ready to take that. And I know financially the W as well. I mean, Tony Khan's father is one of the richest people in the world, so that's the reason they can sign him and get a lot of the big stars that they do and keep them. And so I feel like, and not everybody that goes from AEW to WWE is having the success that they thought they would as well. So, I think Jericho, took all those factors in consideration and thought, his was, as you mentioned, his creative freedom as well, and he's decided to keep it going with AEW, and he might become another champion at this point. He's the Ocho now. He might be Nueve, you know what I mean? Or, what I'm saying? We'll see. I mean, he's got the list for the most world championships or the record in AEW currently, but it's kind of like a combination of what he's done in his career overall.
Okay. John or Joe, have you guys tuned in at all to AEW?
I kind of watched the highlights. Their matches, and I think that's what sets them apart more than anything, is they focus on the wrestling versus the talking. So, and their matches, I mean, guys like Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega, those guys they put on a match. It doesn't mean they could be wrestling a tackling dummy, and it would be better than some of the stuff that WWE puts on.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we're going to get into now night one of WrestleMania. Just want to remind people who are watching here on Substack or listening on Substack, be sure you subscribe to the BrianLennonShow.substack.com. Also, check out our YouTube page. We've been posting those. So be sure to subscribe to the YouTube page and give us a play, leave a comment, give us a ranking or a star, whatever the hell we get. So the 2-night extravaganza, they've been doing this now since 2020. On the first night, two of the first matches will be on ESPN2 live. So some of that cross promotion we've mentioned with ESPN. That'll be the 6-man tag team match with the championship. Logan Paul and Austin Theory are the champions. The Usos, Jay and Jimmy versus the Vision. No, there's another tag team there.
It's LA Knight and the Usos and IShowSpeed and
it's a 6-man tag now.
Yeah,
they changed it up. Okay, so the belts won't be on the line.
No.
Okay. And then Fatu will take on Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match. WWE won't even touch this match. It's going to be that bad.
I'll take that bet.
Now, the main event will be, I'm assuming the main event is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton.
Yeah.
With Pat McAfee in his corner.
Yeah, night one.
But let's start with the women. We'll start with AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch. And that's going to be for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. AJ Lee is the champion. Anyone feeling excited about this match?
I feel like we've already seen it. Yeah. And they haven't even been on TV that I can remember. They do sit-down interviews with Michael Cole that were taped and nothing happens.
Yeah. AJ Lee is she's after my time, and then she was gone when I got back in. So I have no emotion toward her at all. And Becky Lynch has sort of been kind of a spot starter when you need her. I feel like she's not really, I don't know, lost some of her mojo.
I feel like she's the safe option for WWE to just make sure that the match looks good, because she can wrestle, and that's the most important thing. But unless something like Becky Lynch brings out Paige so that she trips up, AJ Lee, nobody cares. Something's got to happen for anybody to give a crap.
Okay. And then the other women's match is the Women's World Championship, Stephanie Vaquer versus Liv Morgan. This one will have a lot of eyeballs on it.
Especially their rumps.
That is well said. This match I'm looking forward to. What do you think the gist of this story is? Where does this story stand? Because I've had a hard time kind of tracking it.
2 weeks ago, when Stephanie Vaquero basically concussed Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez, you could hear their skulls knocked together on live TV, and it sounded sickening. So the violence that they have towards each other is at least making this one intriguing. That and Liv Morgan keeps calling her mama dog.
Sean, do you have a favorite in this match?
I'm going with Stephanie on this one. I just think she's been, she's been highlighted to be this newcomer that's come to WWE and kind of taken over, and she's done that. And I don't think Liv Morgan is the one to take this from her at this point. You don't take the belt off of Stephanie Vaquer. I feel like she's one of the more interesting wrestlers there. The only problem that I feel like the issue is with her is she does not a good promo. She's working on her English, but she's not there yet to really deliver the kind of promos that the audience needs. So I feel like she does find a way to connect with the audience in different ways, as the Devil's Kiss, her popular signature move. And obviously she has a swagger to her that is appealing as well. So I'm looking forward to, she's different than what the women's division offers today in the WWE. And because of her uniqueness, I think the opportunity to keep that belt on her and maybe even have her challenge the winner of Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. That would be amazing. At the Night Champions, or they did that in another pay-per-view. So I feel like, and she also is going to be drawing from the Spanish audience to interest in the Spanish audience. This is going to be her first WrestleMania appearance. So I honestly think you get that belt on her, you give her the win. And it's for Liv Morgan. She's done a great job so far, creating this feud and conveying, to the audience why, she's an absolute bitch at this point. So I feel like the fans are behind Stephanie, and I'm rooting for Stephanie. And so that's basically my thoughts. I think everybody else feels the same way, hopefully.
Joe, do you think Dirty Dom gets involved in this match?
I mean, I'm sure he'll make an appearance, but I think either way, this match will be good. Stephanie's great, Liv is great. they're different, but I think they're equally good. Liv is probably one of the most entertaining wrestlers between men and women. She's got that perfect obnoxious heel laugh. She's unlikable, but kind of likable at the same time. Stephanie's great. I think Stephanie's really cool. So I'm sure Dom will make an appearance, but I think Stephanie retains as well. I'm with Sean.
Okay. I think Liv I think Dom or someone else gets involved and Liv gets the win, and that kind of maybe carries it around to SummerSlam, and we see them kind
Yeah,
of
and Liv doesn't need a belt to be in big storylines. Stephanie, I think, needs that more than Liv. Liv, you could put her up against anybody and it would be a big headline match. Stephanie against anybody without the belt means a lot less. So I think it logistically it makes way more sense for Stephanie to retain.
okay. Failed to mention there's a women's tag team championship, a fatal four-way match. Um, is anyone excited about that? Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, the Bella Twins. Is that just more of a nostalgia to get people to watch it?
It's
I
more of we
did
had to fit these people onto the show.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear that if the injured Bella can't wrestle in this match, then Kairi Sane and Asuka were going to be the fourth team.
Mhm.
But if whatever Bella is healthy, then we'll have Io and Asuka added to one of the WrestleMania nights. So I think we're all rooting for Nikki Bella to get over her sprained ankle so we can have Io on the WrestleMania card. Because she of all people definitely deserves to be on there.
Um, Now, the Rollins Gunther match. This Gunther's been on sort of his retirement tour, retiring everybody. He was supposed to maybe do Rey Mysterio, but I think Rey Mysterio is going to be retired by his son, maybe at some point this year. And so I want to call him Henry Rollins. Seth Rollins comes in to take on Gunther. Again, it was sort of, I think this is one of those matches that just felt like thrown together.
Well, I think this match got thrown together because I think they were hopeful that it would be Braun Breaker, which supposedly he's healthy and ready to go, but they didn't put him in this, which doesn't make any sense. So I think what they're trying to do, and Sean, you correct me if I'm out in left field on this one. I think the whole Heyman favor thing that's coming into play is this is going to be how Brock gets retired in Minneapolis by Gunther. That's the whole play here, which Gunther versus Lesnar at WrestleMania has been the talk for what, 2 years now? And now it looks like it's going to be SummerSlam because it'll be Lesnar's last match.
I could see that.
Which was a stupid way to get to there. I mean, again, I think originally it was supposed to be Ray versus Gunther and then the retirement of Ray, but who knows?
Okay. And then the main event will be Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. Where do you guys stand on Cody Rhodes? Are we sick of him? Do
Yep.
we like him? Do we wish he would go away for maybe 6 months?
I think he's reached that John Cena stage where everybody's starting to revolt against him because he's just there all the time. He doesn't need the championship. He should be that Stone Cold character at this point where he's got to chase it and just keeps getting screwed until he gets to WrestleMania next year. He was a more likable character when he lost to Reigns.
Mm-hmm. That did wonders for him.
Yeah. Now he's just shoved down everybody's throat and we're all over it.
Sean, what's your take on Rhodes and where he stands now?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with John. I still think he's one heck of a talent, and he moves a lot of merch. So at this point, I don't see a shift in his character per se. But yeah, I think the fans have grown tired of him, and if he were to take a break, that might be better. But at the same point, we're at the limit of where these wrestlers, how much these wrestlers are going to keep going at this point. So how many years left, and the top stars of WWE are going to retire. So you got to look at that. At that point, if Brody can go, why not put him in that spot? Or keep going in that spot, but maybe put him in like a supportive role. I don't think he should end up being the world champion after WrestleMania. No, I don't. But I feel like, like what John was saying, you make him chase the belt. fans might find that more intriguing. There's got to be different ways to present Cody at this point and him always going over and him being on top, just like how John Cena was for many years. He was presented as always going over, always going on top. And there are a lot of fans, including me, that resented him for that. It was the same booking over and over. So they've got to figure out how to pivot Cody Rhodes' character, how to make a shift, and hopefully they can get the fans behind him again.
Do you guys think WWE has failed in like making new stars? Like say in this last like 3-year period from like WrestleMania 39 to now, so 4-year period. I feel like the characters have sort of grown stale because it's the same handful of wrestlers. A lot of them have already met already, or their storylines have run out. But there's no like new blood. There's, when Cody came to WrestleMania in Dallas, that was, big news. Like we haven't had like a huge reveal at WrestleMania in years.
It's true.
Have we?
See, I feel it's the opposite. I feel they build the talent up and then they just give up on people. Damian Priest comes to mind. They pushed him. He was the world champ. Gone. Jey Uso, world champ. And people started to just get over the yeet stuff. Gone. The Kiana James. You bring up these guys from NXT who are wonders there. Carmelo Hayes comes to mind, where he has carried SmackDown for the last 3 months with the U.S. title, and then they give it to Sami Zayn, and Carmelo Hayes isn't on the card at all, and that's garbage. If you want to put Sami Zayn into the title picture in WrestleMania, fine, make it a 3-way between him, Trick Williams, and Hayes. Let's put it this way. They're going to do a double switch with that match. It's going to wind up being Sami Zayn's the bad guy. Trick will become the good guy because he's getting cheered and everybody hates Sami. But meanwhile, Carmelo Hayes is out in the rain getting wet, and it's bullshit.
Wow.
What Carmelo Hayes has done has been the best wrestler in WWE for the last 3 months, period.
Joe, I know you're a big fan of Sami Zayn, and you are sort of a fan of the Trick Williams character. So how do you feel about that? Same?
Yeah, I think probably, like, objectively speaking, Sami Zayn is probably the greatest wrestler probably ever. I don't understand why he's not WWE champion. I think he should bury Trick, bury Cody, bury Roman, and just continue to take the championship from people who the fans like. I think that would probably be best for business.
I think this is a heel turn by my son here. That's the complete opposite of how he feels. All right, let's go on to night 2. Again, ESPN will have the live shows, the matches, the first 2. Obafemi, who apparently is Gary's new favorite wrestler, and Brock Lesnar. And then we'll have an Intercontinental Championship ladder match, which thank God for bringing the ladder match back to WrestleMania, because that was the highlight for a few years running back in the early 2000 teens, 10s.
Come on, Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon started it.
Yeah, but for years it was that ladder match was the opening match of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Hardy Boys and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian.
So in the Intercontinental match, Penta is the champion.
Yeah.
He's going to be going up against Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, an AEW retread, and Rey Mysterio. Any opinions or thoughts on that?
I like the match.
I like Rusev in the match as an addition, not to win the match.
Okay.
Just to be he's that Kane character when all the other high flying guys are jumping around, that he's just going to be like, I'm going to throw this ladder out of the way and you guys are going to fall and hurt yourselves. And that should be his role, is to cripple someone.
Do we think like Javon Evans maybe makes his WrestleMania moment in this? Is this sort of geared to him? Or you think he's going to lose?
I think he'll lose. I think somebody else will wind up winning. Honestly, I think Dom winds up winning it just because there's too much going on and it just makes the storyline better.
Dom's not in this match.
He's Oh, that's right. He's fighting Finn. He should have been in the match. It would have made
But
more
hey,
sense.
anything could happen.
I was gonna say, I hope Sami
Yeah.
Zayn wins this match.
Yeah, why is JD McDonough in this?
Right.
It's
JD
funny.
McDonough's been hurt all year, but let's reward him. Let's give him a match. Screw
It's fun to
Carmelo
see
Hayes.
his big head hit off a ladder or something.
He'll hurt the ladder.
All right, Oba versus Brock. Gary, now you're familiar with Oba, Femi?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am familiar. Yes.
Who do you
I-
like in this match,
I don't
Gary?
really
We haven't
watch-
heard from you.
I don't really watch much of it anymore. Like I'm like Sean. I'm on the socials, so that's how I keep up on all the wrestling stuff. So that's how I know who Oba is. I don't know. I mean, they're two big monsters in this one, so I think it's just going to be just who's overpowering who. But I'm going to take Oba in this one.
Okay. Is
I
this
think
maybe the beginning of Brock's slide to retirement? Joe, you
don't-
say no.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Oba's coming away with this one. Someone was mentioning earlier how it's going to be Gunther Brock at SummerSlam. That match makes way more sense if Brock beats Oba. It's unfortunate because I really like Oba Femi, but I don't think there's any way Brock Lesnar in his big match back loses to a rookie like this. It's unfortunate, but I think that's the way it's going.
See, I've got a great idea for this one. Lesnar wins. Oba winds up just slipping up somehow and just coming up short. Evans comes up short in the ladder match. Trick Williams gets screwed over by heel Sami Zayn, so he loses. Carmelo Hayes isn't even invited. And you can create a brand new NXT in up main roster WWE with all of the NXT upcomers, and they just run amok on everybody like Nexus used to do. And nobody knows who Nexus is anymore, so it would work.
I like that.
I think Brock's gonna win this match. I don't think he's gonna give up the whatever, pass the torch to Oba Femi yet. I feel like Brock would have done that maybe for Braun Breaker, a guy that's a similar like monster heel, but obviously Oba is not a monster heel; he's a babyface. So I don't think for that alone, I don't think it's gonna happen. I think if Brock is going to head to face Gunther, he needs the momentum. He needs the win over Oba Femi. And I think it's going to be a short match. I think it's going to be like a 5 to 6 minute match. But I think Brock needs to show something else. Like I want to see maybe a submission on Oba instead of just 6 F5s. I just want to see something different out of Brock in this one, and hopefully he delivers it. And I think when you're towards the end of your career, you can play around and do different things and try out different things, to a certain extent. And he gets that opportunity with Oba Femi because I don't remember the time he's faced a guy this size in recent history, like the past decade or so.
Yeah, it's been a while since Brock's taken on someone. Probably
He took on Omos, 2 WrestleManias ago, and that guy can't move though. That was his problem. It was like wrestling the Great Khali.
Now, Oba is very explosive, just like Brock. So I'm saying they're going to go right at it.
I could see this being some sort of like no contest where they knock each other out. Again, it's going to be on ESPN, so there'll be some sort of stunt, I think, but then it's going to be sort of like, can you believe it?
Yeah, and I don't think WWE wants to put a loss on Oba right now either because he may be the hottest thing they've got going.
Yeah, that's why I see it more of going a no contest, or they both knock each other out, and neither of them can get to their feet. Let's go to the United States Championship match between Joe's favorite, Sami Zayn. He'll be defending against Trick Williams. Trick, I think, seems to be sort of the favorite, gaining momentum.
And he's got Little Yachty with him.
Okay, then.
Sure. Whatever that is.
Do we think this is a Trick Williams victory?
No. I think it's a heel Sami Zayn victory.
So
it should be a trick, and that makes sense, which is why my faction works.
Do you think this might end up being a rematch on Monday night? And Trick
Backlash.
getting the win?
Backlash.
Backlash. That's the other thing too, is most of these matches we'll have again in 4 weeks or so, 4 to 6
Yeah.
weeks.
I think that's hurting them too. There's a damn pay-per-view every 2 weeks, and then if there's not a pay-per-view, there's a Saturday night's main event, and if there's not a Saturday night's main event, there's a cockatoodle Sunday party that, why? There, a pay-per-view used to be a culmination of a 5 or 6 week program that was special. Now hey, it's just another Raw.
Sean, who do you like in this match? Sammy or
Me,
Trick?
I'm going to go with Trick Williams. I think he's over the crowd. I think it's a great opportunity to, like you said, WWE needs to build new stars. Well, I think they found one in Trick Williams. I think they found a star in Obafemi. And, I think they're looking to find one in Javon Evans as well. But they got to crown someone. And I feel like this is the opportunity. Trick has been there enough times. I think he knows how to work with Sammy, you know what I'm saying? And so I think just the character will be prepared for whatever Sammy, whoop that Trick. I just think you can't deny the crowd. You got to give them something. And I think this is a feel good moment, in a night where we may not get any of Trick Williams winning and walking out with the championship.
All right, here the next match I want to talk about. Oh,
wait, Joe wants to talk.
Yeah, I actually can't stand Sami Zayn. I think he's the worst. I love Trick. I like Lil Yachty. I think that since I think Oba's not winning, Trick is winning, like Sean just said. I think Trick is kind of be that next big guy. The crowd loves the whoop that Trick. I love the whoop that Trick. He looks like a superstar. He acts like a superstar. So I think it's either Trick or Oba, not both, not neither. And I'm putting my money on Trick winning. I really hope he wins. And this takes the belt off Sammy so Sammy can get his redemption arc to win the WWE Championship next year in Saudi Arabia. So somehow this is going to lead to the beginning of Sammy's either heel to redemption arc or just down and out redemption arc so that he wins next year over whoever the champion is in Saudi Arabia. Because I can guarantee you Vince McMahon knows that one's on the books already.
That's an interesting kind of spreading the seeds for next year. I like that. All right, the next match, which I think might steal the show, is the Demon, Finn Balor, versus Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio, I think, is one of the best wrestlers going, as far as like working the crowd, in ring, and people love to see the Demon, and we already know he's coming out as the Demon, so that'll be special. And again, now we have a storyline. I still want to know where that hotel room key is. I don't think we ever got an answer to that.
We don't have an answer to who beat up Jacob Fatu yet either. Yes, we forgot about trying to resolve that story.
So what do you guys think of this match? There's nothing on the line. It's just Demon versus Dominic. It's the culmination of the what's their stable called? The
Judgment
Day.
I think if they're going to bring the Demon back and he doesn't win, that's stupid. I mean, and I think if you go back and look, I think he's lost more than he's won at WrestleMania as the Demon, so that doesn't make any sense either. And in Joe's attitude towards this is that redemption arc, this is Finn finally getting free of the Judgment Day, clearing all the demons, and moving on his own new direction.
I've been waiting for that for a while.
Yeah.
I think the Demon walks away with the championship and Liv Morgan.
There's no championship, is there?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought this was the IC belt. I'm all mixed up. My bad.
Yep.
I think the Liv Morgan is on the line in this match, and the Demon walks away with her. That's my hot take. And that's
she's going to get a devil's kiss the night before, winds up with a demon. It's all hell related. It's fine.
Well, now that you mentioned that, and I already kind of brought in Dominic the previous night with Liv. Maybe we see the Demon and Dom kind of have an interaction on night one during that match, because there's been rumors Dominic might get with Stephanie. I mean, women love Dom. So it wouldn't be out of the question that Stephanie would fall for his charms.
I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I think Stephanie Vaquer has another wrestler. I wish it was another female wrestler, but she has another wrestler she's eloped with currently in NXT called Maya
Grande.
I know. Sorry to break it to everybody who didn't know. She's taken already.
Way to ruin kayfabe, Sean. Finn Balor's an interesting character too, because he won the Universal Championship, but then had to relinquish it, and he's never been back as the champion. Do you see this maybe, like you guys are saying, wrestling the demons, getting rid of the demons, where he maybe gets a final push because he's well into his 40s now? Do you see him maybe getting one final push to maybe claim a championship?
He should. Or he could be the leader of my NXT faction because he was the original NXT guy.
There you go.
Yeah, I think that's going to happen eventually, but they're going to do like a slow build to it. And I think he's still going to feud with members of the Judgment Day, like JD McDonough and Liv Morgan, and of course Dominic. So I feel like this is not the end of the chapter of his alliance or former alliance with the Judgment Day.
Do we see
and who else joins the Judgment Day?
Do we see Damian Priest involved in this match?
As another guy who's not on the card, probably not, because why would we, reward people who are the tag team champs on SmackDown with no match on WrestleMania?
Okay. All right. The WWE Women's Championship, Jade Cargill versus Rhea Ripley. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but is there some real heat going on between these two? Or is that...
That's what I've heard. I heard there's a lot of women in the locker room that have heat with Jade. In particular, she's rubbed a lot of women the wrong way. And I think Rhea is might be the sort of the locker room leader at this point. So yeah, I do think there's some real heat between them, but I think they're going to put on a spectacular. Sometimes the people you don't get along with, you put on the best matches possible. It's crazy, right? You can't stand a person, but you work together beautifully in the ring. And so I'm hoping that's the case. Jade is a little rough, in ring. Obviously, we all know this, right? She's got a spectacular look, presence. She's got the swag, but that's what she's missing is the fundamentals. And I feel like Rhea can help her in this matchup, right? And I think Rhea is going to make sure she's going to have the best match of her career when they face each other. And so I think it's going to be a spectacular match. Who comes out on top? I would love to see a Rhea win, but I could also see, because it's still young in her title reign, Jade somehow sneaks out a victory against Rhea somehow. But we'll see. There's a possibility of that happening, but I feel like you can also go with the feel good moment of Rhea Ripley, winning this belt. But I feel like this is definitely a program. And so, like I said, is why don't we see how Jade does against Rhea, and can we book this long term? Will the matches improve? You know what I'm saying? Can they work long term together? This is where we find out if they have that opportunity, with this opportunity to do that.
Do we see Montel, his wife?
That's what I was going to say. They overcomplicated this storyline too. All they had to do was take Rhea and Jade's real life animosity, just like they did last year with Tiffany and Charlotte Flair, and leave it at that. And then we decided to throw in Meechin and B-Fab and whatever else. Yeah, no offense, Joe. That's another person who's not on WrestleMania's card, which makes zero sense, is Tiffany. But
Tiffany time.
This could have been left alone with just the two of them, and then bring in what's her face, Bianca Belair. And have her heel side join with Jade to retain and extend the storyline.
It could still happen.
We overthink the overthinking.
Because was there any conclusion to that storyline with them?
Well, she still got the messed up finger. And I think that they finally have it somewhat under control, and I think she's back at the Performance Center. But that's been the problem is Bianca Belair has been out since WrestleMania last year, because whatever she did to that finger, evidently we as humans we cannot function and fix that one finger.
Which finger?
She can't fix it. She's still rehabbing that finger, and no,
But
she just had a procedure done for that
yeah,
finger, not like a
evidently
month or
though,
so
while
ago.
she's
So
been at home, she
yeah,
is feeding Montel Ford a lot of food. She's become a terrific cook.
I've seen pictures of him.
Yes, he's about to be the new Yokozuna.
Amazing. All right, the main. Do you think that match goes over 20 minutes? Yes or no?
No.
no, 15, 16.
All right. The main event, the best in the world, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. Now, Sean, you being a Chicago guy, I'm going to assume you're rooting for CM Punk to retain.
Yes, I am rooting for him. I'm rooting
Okay.
for CM Punk. I feel like this build up is one of the things they've gotten right. And I know John may disagree with me or might have,
No, no, I totally agree.
Perfect, right? Yeah, it's
Yeah,
one of the
I think
few things
I think the only
that they've gone
funny
right.
thing about their buildup
Yeah.
was including the Usos and then sidestepping that the Usos were even involved for a while.
Right.
That was
right.
weird to me.
And yeah, and I'm rooting for CM Punk. I think this is another big WrestleMania moment. He's got to get as many of these in as possible because we don't know how much longer he has in his career at this point. So I'd love to see him retain as the champion, but something makes me wonder: are they going to put the belt on Roman? Even though he's a part timer, he's not going. Like you mentioned, John, he's not going to be there after the first Raw after Mania, right? To kick off the new season, and I feel like CM Punk is your starter, and you keep him in that position as much as possible. And I feel like that's the argument for CM Punk going over. And do you make Roman look strong? Oh yeah, you make Roman look very strong. I think CM Punk, as he alluded to, might be bleeding. He might be bleeding profusely during this match, and you bring out the color and you bring out the whole drama. But I think at the end of the day, it makes sense for CM Punk to retain this championship. And will we have Seth Rollins involved? That's another thing people have been talking about as well. Who will get involved in this matchup, including Paul Heyman? Does he have a vested interest in this? Even though at this point he has his vision and it is set. We'll see what happens. I think it's a loaded, and this is a loaded match, to say the least.
Joe, what's your take on this?
I'm with Sean. I've loved the promos. I think Roman calling CM Punk Phil is absolutely hilarious. But I'm gonna, sorry, Sean, disagree with you. I can't stand CM Punk either. I think based on what I know about young CM Punk, he has become what he swore to destroy. As a young man, he was upset about the older guys taking the spots from the younger guys and constantly burying them. And now CM Punk is the old guy who is the corporate guy. He's the safe guy. He's the guy who's appeasing the shareholders and the board. I think CM Punk is kind of hypocritical based on what his whole voice of the voiceless was. Now he's become the voice of TKO. So I'm not super familiar with young CM Punk, but from based on what I've watched and listened to, CM Punk has kind of done a 180 on his career and become what he once hated. And I think he's like Roman said, he's just old. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
he's not able to deliver like he used to. He struggled to like lift up Roman to power bomb him through the announce table. Again, Roman is a part timer, which I recognize definitely weighs in CM Punk's favor, but I think they got to put the belt on Roman here because both logistically and personally, I can't get behind CM Punk. It's the isn't it great to be alive on a Monday night and whatever. That's just the most stereotypical easy cheers. He's not the edgy guy he once was. He's CM Punk from 15 years ago would hate CM Punk in 2026. That's my thesis on him, and I find that makes him unlikable for me.
Before I get to you, John, I want Gary's opinion on this match because he's. What do you think, Gary?
I don't really have an opinion on this match, to tell you the truth. Like I said, I haven't really been watching much. I've only seen bits and pieces of things, and so the problem is, kind of wish neither would win this match, and the belt just gets taken away somehow, because I mean, I liked Roman, but I don't want him. Fine, you want to give it to him, but he's losing Monday or something, or Saturday, or whatever the day he wrestles. I don't want to see him holding that belt for like 45 years like he did the last time. It got boring. So I mean, I mean, if you want to switch it out, great, but I don't want him retaining or holding it for such a long time. So, but I don't know where you would go with that after all this. So,
Yeah. John, what's your take on this now?
So I think ultimately, if they were smart, which they're not, this could be that setup where Oba beats Brock, CM Punk somehow retains due to shenanigans, and Oba beats CM Punk on the Monday after WrestleMania. That would be the ultimate crescendo for all of that. Now, none of that will probably happen. I do think Punk retains. And I think it is because of shenanigans. This is that spot where we all say every year, hey, what about The Rock? Which sets up the Saudi Arabia WrestleMania next year of Rock and Roman because he screws him. And then neither one of them is there full time. So one of them could show up one month and the next one could show up the other month. And they could do that for like 10 months. And then they just continue to hose each other throughout. The Rock plays, villain, and Roman is still the hero. And then neither one of them has to worry about holding a belt and keeping that from the fans. They don't have to show up every week, and it's a surprise and it's a happy ending when they do show up. But we've seen that and played that storyline out for how many years now? About what, to 10, 12 since The Rock, maybe retired or whatever. But to me, it's going to have to be shenanigans. So whether it's The Rock or whether it's Seth Rollins or whether it's Braun Breaker, who's coming back to go after his title that, he says is his, then I think ultimately Punk retains and has to lose Monday, like Gary said. And not because of anything against Punk, but I think he'd be in a better spot to chase just like Cody would be.
Well, that's an interesting scenario you brought up with The Rock and next year's WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia and The Rock versus Reigns. You guys were mentioning shenanigans. I think it would be a bad look if Reigns lost to Punk, like straight out.
Yeah.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yep.
Like you can't do that to Roman, right? Sean, you're CM Punk guy over
Maybe
there.
Roman slipped or something. You work an injury. I don't know. Just playing.
All right. So,
to finish up my storyline too is Roman beats him to within an inch of his life, and that's how he gets easily beaten on the Monday night too. The shenanigans cause CM Punk to win, but at the end of the day, he's taken out the next day because he's been beaten from pillar to post, and it's easy for whoever it is, whether it be Braun Breaker or Oba or, Sami Zayn shows up after losing to Trick Williams. And Joe's life is over.
yeah, I could see maybe Reigns giving Punk a bunch of like rock bottoms.
Mm-hmm. A bunch of spears.
And then maybe, do you remember the whole storyline? Didn't that was to The Rock gave Cody Rhodes something, right? After that WrestleMania.
It was John Cena. Rock gave Cena a rock bottom at Mania.
No, I mean, like after Rock came out,
he gave him the watch back, I think, after Rhodes won, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, maybe that was it. I thought it was something like mysterious that he handed to Rhodes. Maybe it was Liv Morgan's hotel room key. Who knows? All right, so that is our rundown of night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania. Before we go, as we usually do here on the Brian Lennon Show, we have our Rest in Peace section where we will remember some of wrestling's greatest heroes. Obviously, the big one since these are all from since last WrestleMania. The big one, obviously, is Hulk Hogan passing. He was the Babe Ruth of wrestling. All of us, either directly or indirectly, are on this podcast because of Hulk Hogan. Now, Hulk Hogan Real American is a Netflix documentary that'll premiere April 22nd, featuring the final extensive interviews with Hulk before his death in July. It's going to be a 4-part series that covers his wrestling career, personal controversies, and life behind the persona, featuring insights from his family. Guys, looking forward to this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it will? What do you think it'll do for Hulk Hogan's image? Because there's a large contingent of the wrestling community who absolutely hates Hulk Hogan.
Right.
And then there's
the
other
social media age has always brought out the fact that, well, he was a backstage politician, and that was always detrimental to other people. So, you know, there's always going to be the segment that he's the hero for everybody, and then there's going to be the segment that said, yeah, but who could have been the hero if he hadn't been a jackass?
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to talk to Jesse Ventura for this documentary.
I expect it to be like the Mr. McMahon documentary where they can kind of separate Hulk Hogan and Terry Bollea, and they'll say Hulk Hogan was a great guy, but Terry Bollea had his demons, had his skeletons in his closet, and kind of make that dichotomy of these. This was really two different people that you were watching on your television. I expect it to be like that to preserve Hulk and maybe shine the light on Terry. So that's kind of what I'm expecting, but I'm definitely looking forward to watching it.
Yeah. I heard Hulk became religious towards the end of his life. He became a devout Christian or Catholic.
Born again Christian, yeah.
Born again Christian. So I think that will help. I don't think it's going to change his image completely, but if there's like at least a section of people that at least willing to give this a chance, and it's it's on Netflix, and they were a Hulk Hogan fan, but they don't agree with his views and things he said. If they at least give him a chance, I think that's winning someone over. At least it's something. It's doing something. I mean, it's a small section of people that are affected, or that will actually, give this an opportunity.
Yep. Yeah, I'll definitely be tuning into that. So, Dennis Condrey was another one who passed away this in March. He was a founding member of the Midnight Express. He was one of those guys who I believe had a mullet, and they would beat up on teams on WCW Saturday night in that little small ring in the studio. Steve Mongo McMichael. Sean, you'll remember him as a Bears defensive lineman. So he was a former NFL player and WCW wrestler. He died from ALS, which they also studied his brain following his death. He did have CTE, which again, between professional wrestling and professional football, your odds were probably pretty high. Sean, any special memories or stories of Steve McMichael as a kid who grew up in Chicago?
Yeah, I love Mongo McMichael. I got him once at the Bears convention. He gave me an autograph, and so yeah, it was great to see him. And I never got to see him wrestle in person per se, but obviously he did.
And Sabu,
personalities in
who was
Chicago history, so he'll be remembered forever.
Okay. Sabu, who was a ECW legend, passed away this past year. Any particular memories, John or Sean, about Sabu?
He was just a crazy dude who did whatever he wanted to do and didn't care what it did to himself.
Yeah.
How he lasted as long as he did without breaking his neck is a miracle.
Yeah, the guy always made sure the fans were thrilled, right?
Yeah.
And at the sake of his own health, I got to see him live a few times at indie shows, and he literally was that homicidal, genocidal, suicidal maniac. One of the people I think to be studied for a long time coming, but also, maybe they need to tone down that kind of action or that kind of style of wrestling as well. Maybe a cautionary tale is one that you take when you hear Sabu. And to my knowledge, I don't know if anyone correct me, if they still not done an autopsy on his body. I heard his wife was the only one that could order an autopsy, and she was unreachable in Japan. That was about a year ago, actually, in May of last year. RVD did an indie show, and and on his part was just talking about Sabu, and he was just talking on the mic for 20 minutes. And this one of the interesting things. He says his wife is in Japan, currently unreachable, and he still at that point had not obtained an autopsy, which was
Yeah, I haven't
already
seen
a month or
anything.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that looks like Gary might be on the WrestleMania computer over there trying to find. Where they
Yeah,
just keep him on ice then?
Nothing yet. They haven't. They said there's no cause of death. Rumors, but no cause of death.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, Steve Regal, not to be confused with Lord Steven Regal, who is also William Regal. I believe Steve Regal was also part of the Midnight Express at some point in the late 80s or early 90s, maybe.
I don't know.
And that's
I'm just glad it wasn't William Regal.
And that's not who was the guy who was the he was like the Outback, not Outback Jack. The other guy, he was like a wilderness guy.
Steve Irwin.
Well, he was sort of like that character. Do you remember Sean?
Passed away this year or this past year?
I don't know if this might be him. He might have played this character.
It doesn't come. I mean, I only know about the Bushwhackers, but I don't think that's what
No.
right?
So yes, he was part of the Midnight Express in '86.
Okay, I remember that. And then, did he have any other characters? Did he play some sort of like Outback swamp character?
He was Skunk Ape.
I'll let you know in a second. Steve Regal, billed as Mr. Electricity, was primarily known for the AEW World Lightweight Championship, AEW World Tag Team Champion, ones with Jim Garvin. One man gear, he did wrestle under different names and different promotions. So like, doesn't just say anything about any Outback looking guy.
Okay. I don't know what the hell I was thinking then.
You could be thinking right. We just don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it could be.
There is a limit to our knowledge. Who knew?
All right. Before we go, I wanted to let you know I found a band. Gary, is this the music you're going to be playing or something else?
I don't know. Let me.
Well, then it must not be. There's a band called Jobber, which is a term for a wrestler who kind of loses.
What'd you do?
And the name of their album is called Jobber to the Stars. And all of the songs have... I'm getting a low bandwidth. All of the songs have a sort of wrestling theme. Let me look it up real quick. I thought I had this. John, you have plans for watching WrestleMania?
Yeah, it's a dance weekend, so there's nobody here. So I'm gonna do this. Get this. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna order Hooters, and I'm gonna watch
Really?
WrestleMania.
What?
I can't believe it myself, but I am. Yes.
What?
Yes, I am.
Order Hooters?
Which goes completely against this new heart healthy diet that I have to be on after my recent hospitalization.
End this. There's a tidbit of news for WrestleMania I wanted to mention. I didn't earlier.
Oh, we have breaking news here from Pro Wrestling Enforcer Podcast's very own Sean Lennon.
Yes. So Triple H says there's no backup for WrestleMania 42 main event participants in case of an emergency at this point. So if they were not able to be there, there's no backup. And I think he's talking about CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, and Cody
Cody.
Rhodes. There's no backups currently, so hopefully they make it.
Which means no one's allowed to get
Is there
physical
a
Friday
chance
night.
they may not?
Well, I'm saying in case of an emergency, you know how in case of medical emergency, a
Somebody
family
could have an
member,
appendicitis.
you know what I'm saying? He
Dysentery.
says there's no backup for the main event in case of emergency.
There's no break glass in the event of an emergency. Which if we
It's
think about
interesting
it,
that Triple H would even mention that, though, right?
Well, it makes me think that there's going to be someone who gets hurt and someone's going to come out.
No.
yeah, that doesn't make any
The
sense though.
Rock.
Well, in event of an emergency, you break glass. That would be Austin.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I wish.
They can't pay him enough. I'm sorry.
All right, here's just some of the titles from the Jobbers album. Raw is War. Pillman's Got a Gun. Clothesline from Hell. SummerSlam. Extreme Rules. Going Into Business for Myself. $1 Million Man. And Triple H.
You bring up SummerSlam, and I saw that I think I saw something in the last 2 days that the front row seats were like $40,000 last year for the 2-night event, and they're down to $25,000 for this year. So somebody's listening, and I don't know who's paying $25,000 to go for 2 days, but that's the guy we jump in the parking lot.
One other question before we go, because next year, unless they change it like they did this past year, which they may with what's going on.
Yep.
The WrestleMania is scheduled for Saudi Arabia next year. I know as a sports fan, I've been turned off by organizations and people who are sort of taking money from Saudi Arabia. Live Golf Tour, even WWE. I don't watch those. I never watched the Saudi shows. Do you think fans knowing, hey, I won't be able to go to that event live will cool sort of the build up to WrestleMania next year? Is it a bad PR move for WWE to put the show in Saudi Arabia, despite however much money the Saudi prince is going to pay them?
I think it could wind up worse because the fans won't go, and depending on what the build is for the next year, it could really just turn off the rest of the wrestling community and make us not care. Plus, you're going to get to see those. They want to pay for what matches they want to see. I mean, we could be getting Undertaker versus Austin and Rock and Roman, and they may dig up Roddy Piper to fight dug up Hulk Hogan because they would rather see that than what the actual product is at this point.
Could we finally see Goldberg Bret Hart?
Yeah, they could both roll down in wheelchairs and fight like that. It'll be like battle basketball in wheelchairs.
I think the plan is at this point for fans is there's got to be some alternative, and AEW could be the ones to step in and make a show happen the same day as WrestleMania. Make that at a location that the fans will go to, right? Yeah. And it'll be more affordable. Make that whole WrestleMania week, make that for AEW. That's what they're going to lose. They're going to lose their U.S. build, and there's nothing stopping AEW from hosting two events, right? And that will happen in a location.
Put it in like New Orleans.
Everybody will go there and migrate there. They'll have the conventions. All the wrestlers, will all be there. And there's just because they're taking WrestleMania away doesn't mean they're going to take the Mania week away necessarily. And so I would love to see that.
To tag on top of that, you do it in Madison Square Garden. You go right into the lion's den and just take him by the throat.
Yeah,
that's when you premiere Shane McMahon and everything.
I think they got to do it in Indianapolis. Got to do it in Indy. Yeah. I was gonna say before Sean said this is a perfect time for AEW to step in and have a big event in the United States. Indianapolis, Chicago, Cleveland, somewhere in that range where you can get New York and the West.
Atlanta makes sense too, only because of the WCW roots and WWE taking over that route.
But I think I think AEW has a huge opportunity to capitalize on that. Like, and I think like if they host a pay-per-view that night, like I'll buy it, I'll watch it. I think I think a lot of people, and I think a lot of people feel that same way, watching like their favorite wrestling company sell out to the rich overlords is just kind of inherently repulsive. I really hope AEW does something that night, somewhere accessible to the majority of the
It's
country,
true.
and 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 has, the because WrestleMania isn't just WrestleMania. There's all those small shows, all those conventions. It's more than just the one event. It's a
Yeah.
whole week of celebration. It's like the Super Bowl. It's not just one game. It's the culmination of everything. So I really hope they do that. And if they do, I would be more than happy to try to participate or contribute in some way, because I think that would send a message to WWE that a lot of people don't agree with that, and they want to see it locally and not get shipped away to the people who are the highest bidder.
And Sean,
Yeah.
am I nuts? But isn't it the next two WrestleManias are in Saudi? I thought it was the next two.
No, just as far as I know, it's only the next year's WrestleMania will be there.
Okay.
WrestleMania 43, I believe.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up every other year or permanently in
Um,
Saudi Arabia at some point if they're
Yeah.
willing to write big
and-
enough checks.
And I wouldn't have the anger towards it if it was in like the UK or Germany or
No.
those shows have been great. Those audiences are great, and they're stupid not to go to a Wembley and do an event there for like WrestleMania. Them just going to the oil blood money Saudi Arabia, that they'll kill themselves quicker than they can count.
Yeah, I'm hoping they make the necessary change, but we'll see.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to watch coming forward for next year. Also, it'll be important, I think, for the NFL, because I have a feeling the NFL is going to be in Saudi Arabia before we know it. Because the money and the greed of the owners, they've got to go.
Yeah.
But
None of those,
Jerry Jones needs all the help he can get.
yeah, none of those wrestlers were even happy that were at the press conference when they announced it. You
Yeah.
see the looks on their face; they
Yeah.
were not pleased at all.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to watch, as the next year goes through. Before we go, Sean, why don't you give your Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast a plug? Tell people where they can find more of your wrestling info.
Yeah, we have on Facebook, Pro Wrestling Enforcer Podcast. We're on Spreaker.com, which is my primary host, but you can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts as well. And also on YouTube. We have our own YouTube channel, so we have videos on there, and also Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. PW,
right.
Please check it out. Chicago locally based, but we're branching out and doing new things as well.
All right, very cool. And John, I heard you host or co-host a college football podcast.
I do. Yes, I do. Hey, we have to do a draft special this coming week because that's happening next week
Yep.
already. Yeah. It feels like the draft should have happened about 3 or 4 years ago because I'm tired of hearing about it. But yeah, but we've got spring games that have happened. I saw 2 quarterbacks that look like they could throw the ball down the field. I mean, I don't know how much defense was played in Gainesville, but all of that stuff's kicking off. We've got new rules that are coming into play, presidential executive orders that are actually pretty smart for a change. And I agree with you can transfer once and 5 years by the NCAA. That's the first words out of the NCAA that I've heard in a long time that I went, I agree.
So, yeah, we, John, Gary, and I have a little college football podcast. So we're on a little hiatus because of the season being over, but we'll be gearing up for a draft special and some other episodes during the summer. It is called what, John?
The Tailgater Setup Podcast on Substack.
It's available here on Substack, so check it out. And Joe, anything new with you?
No.
You don't have any extra hate for Sami Zayn? I mean, it's been like a whole hour and a half of bashing him.
Yeah, he's the worst. He's just the worst. Like, if kayfabe was the real world, Sammy should be WWE champion because the haluva kick is the strongest finisher. No one ever kicks out of that. I don't know how this guy isn't WWE champ because That move is so devastating. It's kind of mind-boggling.
Just like the Hogan leg drop.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight for the WrestleMania 42 preview show. Seems like all of us will be trying to watch the 2-night extravaganza. And so I hope you guys all enjoy the show, and we'll see whose predictions and storylines came to fruition. And we'll look forward to do it again for next year in Saudi Arabia. Or maybe it'll be an AEW pay-per-view preview. We'll see. All right. So for Sean Lennon, John Carmella, Joseph Lennon, my co-host and producer extraordinaire, Mr. Gary McDaniel, I'm Brian Lennon. That's going to be it all for tonight. Ring that bell, Gary. This match is over. No contest.
Yeah.
I feel like bad decisions, but you still wanna bite. I feel like bad decisions, but you still wanna bite.
I feel like this was a bad decision.
Trouble, that's me. Cherry lips and bad energy. Say once, say it twice, and I'll give it to you.
Do we know Gary likes Oba